lurk within the fires of the campfire. I am on fire. Hello. Beloved Anathema, I have come to you from Campfire Land.
Do you want marshmallows?
I would love marshmallows, thank you.
Where are you going?
I don't know, I'm trying to get the marshmallows. They had to already be a little bit on fire. Yo.
I also have hot dogs. Oh, wait, I can't do that.
You're not me. I'm special.
I could never be you.
Aw. I could never be you, don't worry. It's we each have qualities the other lacks. I did pick up the hot dogs, we're fine. The marshmallow, it is burning. Burning like the souls of all the people we shall terrify tonight with campfire story time. I resent that this marshmallow is cooking and I can't burn it to a crisp or take it off too early to annoy people.
You're incredibly yourself.
No, it's what you do is everybody's around you with like the golden marshmallow tans. What you do is you figure out either number one, you light it on fire, you just take a big bite, or number two, you kind of just like swoosh it through and I'm like, yep, now my thing is all cooked, depending on what you think would be worse.
I'm pretty sure you can remove it early.
Boom, all done. I eat raw mellow, baby.
No. Apparently not.
Yeah, marsh on this mellow. I have no room in my inventory.
Sometimes I wonder why I talk to you.
What, was marsh on this mellow not a roast marshmallow on stick? Can I recook it? Come on. Ugh. The marshmallows are beautiful.
This was not something I had anticipated.
No one can anticipate me.
You're so right.
The world shall crash around me.
Love this for you.
Thank you. I also love this for me. I believe I've stolen some of your mellows.
That's fine.
Oh, I would like to get one back. You must say how cool I am, and now you're just
cool.
already given me food.
Meh.
Who's coming to this shindig again? I mean, I got the invitation, just kind of followed you. I don't remember.
I invited a few people. I invited Gawain.
Has
Lux, Sylph, Captain. I didn't write down a list.
No.
I figure whoever shows up, shows up.
Yeah. No. What if we show up and we're too popular and there's too many friends and not enough campfire? Hello.
Hello there.
Lux.
Hi.
Welcome to the approach of your doom.
What doom? Hardly much doom. I can stand in it just fine.
There could be doom if we wanted.
It can always be doom. Doom isn't pain. Doom is a place your heart goes. Hey.
Is he also invited?
No, hence the doom.
Do you want? We have marshmallows. We have hot dogs.
What in the world? What are these? Sticky contraptions.
You cook them on the fire and you eat them.
Or you just eat them and you cackle.
There's something deeply wrong with you.
That is.
I know you know this and you
There's
love
a
me.
lot of things wrong with them. Are you sure we should be burning the stick as well? I don't think this is the intended retail price.
If it's not a little bit on fire, you're not doing it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say,
Hello?
hello? The fuck was that?
Ominous slurping in the distance.
Is this what they mean when they say get that slurp, bitch?
Yes.
What?
What? Someone's brought their milkshake to the yard and isn't sharing.
I have many questions. Hold on. There we are.
Oh, that. Well, I'm gonna go collect that arrow. Wait, no, it doesn't even work anymore. I'm gonna go run ominously.
It's on fire.
Shh, it's fine. Oh, I got that sweet, sweet experience.
There's something wrong with you.
There's something extraordinarily wrong with you.
I'm glad you came.
Thank you for inviting me. I haven't gone to a campfire since, well, back home.
Mother.
Thank you? That's just how my eyes are.
What's how your eyes are?
One of my spirits has complimented my eyes, that my eyes see things in such pretty colors.
This is simply the life you are living.
You look with your special eyes.
Your special eyes that can see all secret maid dresses. Rule number 1: don't try to stealthily wear lingerie around Lux. He will know.
What? What the fuck are you talking about?
Remember that one time?
Oh, right, that one time.
There was someone there.
I know, I saw them.
Ow! 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 Ow!
Hold on,
Ow!
hold on.
How come you got them? I tried like 4 times and it didn't even.
I was going to say, does anyone want to start?
You've organized the shindiggery. Would you like to
I
start?
did organize this, but I wanted to know if anyone like felt strongly about starting.
No, I'll like maybe do mine near the end.
Alright.
I'll do mine second.
I'll do mine third.
I'll do mine at
Fine,
some
fine.
point.
Alright, perfect.
Alright, okay.
Is this everyone?
I don't know. I invited people. Some of them showed up. Aster is here.
Yay! Yes.
Gawain's looming
Gotta-
over there.
You gotta buy 3 get 1 free.
Oh, so they
Hi.
You would be
Hello.
free.
You what? Hey. Hello.
Gawain is on
You wanna join?
Lou?
Gawain?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
We have here. There's marshmallows. and
Would you
hot
like
dogs.
some diggity dogs?
Oh.
I think August may have stolen the marshmallows.
Are these some kind of sausage?
Yeah.
I see. This is sugar?
Mhm.
Spun sugar?
Hi, you're on fire.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Are you alright? You've been kind of MIA.
So have you.
Yes, well, I was busy experiencing time non-linearly.
Uh-huh.
I found something. I'm not sure where, and I'm not sure how long I was there. Just found my way back, and there was an invitation. Maybe
Okay,
the
you got my
invitation was
invitation.
in the library. I can't remember.
We can
It's all a bit.
Library.
well, we can investigate that later. For now, story time.
Okay.
Once
I
you've
do have
untraumatized
story.
yourself. How are
I do have-
resident curse breaker with the fairy tales?
Not a curse breaker anymore, but I do have a fairy tale.
Resident magic expert. And curse breaker if they feel like it.
Thank you, August. It's good to see you again. Good to see all of you.
It's good to see you
You as
too.
well.
Okay, so I have a story from where I grew up.
Oh?
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear it.
1,000 moons ago, past the far shore of the farthest ocean, there lived 3 sisters. They were quite alone but for each other, but as they loved each other, they were quite happy. The land provided all they needed and plenty besides. They would have been content to live there all their lives, had the lake by their house not frozen over. The eldest sister was a fisher by preference, and dismayed by the ice, she went out to examine the lake. Unable to fish with it so covered, she readied a pickaxe to break the ice. She swung the tool back above her head, ready to strike. Knock. 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 There came a dull, hollow sound from below the ice. As she hesitated, it sounded again. Knock. 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 And so the eldest sister, she lowered the pickaxe and then lowered herself to her knees. She wrapped her own hand against the ice. Knock, knock, knock. For a moment, there was silence. Knock. 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 She whispered, "Hello?" And then, again, louder, "Hello?" But there came no reply. No. Further in. Knock. 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 Pickaxe forgotten, she ventured out onto the ice, following the sound. It led her this way and that, windingly, until at last she stood at the center of the lake. "Are you brave, or are you a fool?" The eldest daughter she startled, not having expected a voice. After a moment's hesitation, she said, "I like to think I'm brave." The voice laughed. "Do you now? Are you so sure?" And the ice beneath the eldest sister began to crack. She jumped back as it gave way, but stayed close so as to see what had broken it. "If you're so curious, come closer," said the voice. "I'll show you." The eldest sister, she stepped closer to the hole in the ice.
Watch out behind you.
Good timing.
Yes, as we all know, what happened was that a creeper exploded.
100%. That's how it always ends.
I love the homeland creepers.
When she did not return, her sisters began to worry. The eldest sister had not been in the habit of staying away long, and certainly not without telling them. They waited for her, but as their supplies dwindled and the unfamiliar winter continued, the middle sister resolved to go looking for her.
One at a time. Sheep to the goddamn slaughter.
It's a fairy tale, you know how it is.
That's true. There are
Always how
rules.
fairy tales are.
Going hand in hand is always safer.
Mm-hmm. The middle sister was a crafter by preference and did not often leave their house alone. Still, she had followed the eldest sister to the lake many a time, and so knew to start her search there. She approached the shore and called the eldest sister's name. Knock. 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 There came a dull, hollow sound from below the ice, as if in response to her call. Struck by the sudden thought that her sister may have fallen in, that the ice may have frozen over her, she fell to breaking the ice. "Sister mine," she called me. "Can you hear me?" And a voice that was not the eldest sister's said, "Are you kind, or are you a fool?" "Where is my sister?" the middle sister asked, for she knew the question to be a distraction. "Are you so sure she's here?" asked the voice. "If I wasn't before, I am now," said the middle sister she. "Sister mine, can you hear me?" And further in, below the ice, knock, knock, knock. "She's calling for my help," decided the middle sister, and set back to breaking the ice. When the middle sister did not return, the youngest sister grew more worried still. It was not like the middle sister to stay out past nightfall, or indeed for very long at all. The youngest sister grew cold and quite lonely, and in the end decided to go looking for her sisters herself. The youngest sister was a scant few years older than a baby, but she had spent her life observing the world around her and learning its ways. She had seen how the torches on the house melted the snow around them, and when she ventured out to the lake, she brought torches with her in the hope that they might melt the ice. She stopped at the edge of the lake and looked across its frozen surface. It looked undisturbed, but both of her sisters had been here and neither had returned. The youngest sister she considered turning back, but the idea of returning alone kept her rooted to the spot long enough to hear knock, 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 knock. "Is someone there?" the youngest sister asked, and set down a torch at the edge of the lake. There was no reply, but knock, knock. She set down another torch next to the first. The ice began slowly to melt. "Sister's mine?" she asked. Knock. 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 She circled the edge of the lake and the sound followed, as though it were trying to find her, as though it were looking for a large enough opening. As she rounded the far side of the lake, a voice that did not belong to either of us sisters spoke. "Are you clever, or are you a fool?" The youngest sister, she did not reply, for she saw a bone-white hand just under the surface of the water, beckoning to her. She placed another torch. The hand retreated back under the ice. Emboldened, she continued. If she could worm this lake enough, surely her sisters could escape this strange winter creature. But the lake was large. Perhaps the center should be wormed as well. She stepped onto the ice where it had not yet melted and continued to the center of the lake. Beneath her, she could hear the creature. Knock, knock. The youngest sister, she began placing torches and waited for the ice to melt.
Whoops, ignore that. I wasn't supposed to hit enter, sorry.
Knock, knock, knock. It took her barely a moment to realize the sound was now behind her, but that only moment was enough time for her eldest sister to reach her. Frightened by the eldest sister's blank, bright eyes, the youngest sister wrenched away from her and, stumbling, plunged into the close, cold water. The middle sister's eyes were the same as they met the youngest sister's. The youngest sister, she swam for the surface, but as her fingers breached the surface of the water, the ice closed over them. And as the water filled her lungs, her desperate clawing, knock, 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 at the underside of the ice slowed, and then ceased. As this was told to me, so I tell it to you.
Ooh.
Nice.
Interesting.
Good one.
Always
Very
venture out in groups. Alright.
Mm-hmm.
Go to walk alone.
Quite literally, every fairy tale that I've ever been told has just been, oh, brother 1 goes out and gets
And then
killed. Brother 2
dies.
goes out and gets killed. And then brother 3 is smarter than both of his brothers and succeeds and brings the Firebird home. Like, that's fucking every single
Yeah, why is
story.
there always three
Firebird and
siblings?
one younger
Like, pick
brother
another,
bring home.
pick another number. Like, what if there were 4? What if there were only?
Wait, the third one succeeds? When does the third one succeed?
Like, in good fairy tales, when you tell the story
Are
of
you
how...
telling me mine's not good? Are you saying I don't have a good fairy
Yours
tale?
is good. No. I'm not saying
I was
that.
gonna say, for what it's worth, Zeke thinks it's good.
Thank you, Zeke.
Thank you, Zeke.
You know what? Yeah, if you have a better classic fairy tale, you go. You go.
Yeah,
You go here with
Yeah,
your 3
fucking
brothers
will
and your
go.
fireboard.
Yeah? Go for it, Princey.
There once was a woman with an arm made of solid gold, shining brightly in the firelight. It was delicate, made with love, the polar opposite to her other arm. Her other arm was as black as void, darker than obsidian, darker than the darkest blackstone, claws sharp enough to tear through the air. People coveted the golden arm. Suitors flooded from every kingdom and every realm to try and get the arm. Some tried to marry her, others tried to cut up the arm off and be done with it. Every time, they would forget about her other arm. They were torn to shreds before they could blink. The blood glistened on the boy's dark claws. Eventually, the woman died, perhaps due to natural causes, succumbing to old age. She was buried in a faraway cemetery, unknown to anyone except for the one who buried her. One day, a human man from the overworld decided to seek her out, claimed that golden hand, something that no other man could do. He entered the Nether and asked the gods at Never. They shook their heads. They do not know. He asked the Queen of Spore. She did not know. Finally, he asked an old man in Lumos. The old man nodded and led him to the cemetery, where he pointed out the woman's grave. The soul sand almost recoiled from her grave. When the man turned around to thank the old man, he was gone. The man blinked, confused. He had just been there. Oh well, it was time to dig. He dug up the soul soil, which marked her final resting place, and opened the coffin. The woman lay there, with only one gold arm. The man blinked. Where was the second arm? He heard a raspy voice behind him. As he turned around, he saw the woman. Here it is! Ow!
Nah.
Ow!
Quite
Excuse
traditional.
you!
Uh-oh.
Fucking excuse you. Uncalled for.
Listen,
Oh, no, Ren.
you went after me first. You went to try to startle me.
Yeah, turnabout's fair play.
It was the old woman with the pitch black arm. Why did nothing? How dare you accuse me of something that I had no part in?
I have a story that could be companion to that one.
Regicide Extreme Edition.
Well, something's wrong here. Something's wrong here.
I think a little regicide is fun and sexy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Regicide is fun and sexy.
You're not flammable. That's helpful.
Kodo, were you going third?
I was going whenever I had an opportunity.
I think August was going third.
I
Oh,
don't
August.
like this.
Oh. Wait,
I'll go
what?
fourth then.
Nah, it's fine. Go ahead. I'll go after you.
As we are safe beneath the walls of bone and earth,
Mm-hmm. The walls we've
metaphorical
got.
walls as it was. There was a time before the bone paths when the whole of the world was open to us and every block a path. And in those times, there was great arrogance and great zeal and people who went to such lengths as we could not imagine, as stunted and confined as the dark makes us today. But there was darkness even then, and harbingers to what was to come. And one of those harbingers came, the lord of a fine, high city, high in the mountains, where the flowers bloomed and the sun shone, and the great shining city had iron walls to keep out all that crawled and swarmed from the land. And the king of that iron city woke each morning, the lord of that iron city woke each morning behind the walls of metal, the shining walls, and would walk to them, calling out to his citizens, each by name, calling first to his daughters, and then to his guard, and to the people of his town, until he would walk to the walls and look at his face in them and see the reflection of himself and all his forebears, and know that his kingdom stood where no other kingdom had dared stay. Until one morning, he woke and walked to the walls and found a crack in the metal. It's a small crack, hardly bigger than a finger, but visible. And he called his smiths immediately, for defense, even then, was paramount. And but no hammer, no iron, no tool could fix the crack. He couldn't let his people see this. So at last, he covered it. He spun an illusion and hid it from the world and hid it from himself. And thought no more of it. Then one morning, several months later, he walked to the town and found the crack. It's crept from the shining walls of his city to its floor, to the stones of the paths. And he stepped over the crack, stepping carefully, for the closer he looked, the more sure he was that to touch such a thing would bring all the walls down. But he could not speak of it, for it seemed that those around him could not see it. And a king is not afraid. So he called the stonemasons, and when replacing the tiles did nothing, he simply covered it and resolved to speak no more of it. Until one morning, several months later, he woke and stepped from his room and found cracks, splitting the flesh of his daughter's faces. And he knew, reaching out, that if he were to touch them, touch those cracks, they'd fall apart beneath his hands. But there was no doctor, no physician, no curse breaker who could see the cracks or fix them. But he could not hide from the faces of his children. And every day he rose and saw the cracks, deepening and deepening in the foundation of his world. Till one day, he realized that they were not a matter of flesh, or bone, or path, or tile, or wall. They stretched beneath everything, into the roots of the very code of the world. And all was rotten beneath. But one cannot see such a crack without fascination, without temptation. And one day he must have reached out and touched it. For no one ever heard or saw of that city again. And all that remains, fragments and furrows writ so deep in the flesh of the world that none remembers their names.
Nice.
Do you think that's where Haven came from?
I don't know. I'd never thought of it like that. It's more of a story of ignoring things until they become unmanageable, I suppose.
Mine's also about invisible cracks, so I feel like slightly different perspective.
Go for it.
I go next.
I'm ready.
Once upon a time, there was a boy who knew, deep in his heart where he kept the truest parts of himself, that the world he lived in was unstable, that the working laws of his universe were merely suggestions, and that at any point, and for any reason at all, they could simply cease functioning, and down would be up, or atoms would crumble apart, or the sun would vanish from the sky. And so the boy was always incredibly attentive to his surroundings and the way they functioned, because if the world ever broke, he wanted to know how. Given all this, it was not surprising that the boy was the first to notice the holes that began to eat through the ground. The first one opened up right in the center of town, straight in the middle of a major roadway. And as the boy watched, people would walk into it and fall, disappearing forever into the darkness. The surprising thing, then, was that nobody else seemed to see this happening, and even as one person fell, the next would be stepping in the hole to join them. The boy cared about his town and his world, and so he began patrolling back and forth across the edge of the abyss, tearfully stopping anyone who tried to cross the road. But the boy was known to be paranoid and anxious and altogether off-putting, and for every person that sympathized with his obvious distress and promised to find a different road to travel, 3 more would shake him off and scoff as they walked to their deaths. One night, when there was nobody out traveling, and the boy had managed to muster the necessary courage, he sat on the edge of the hole and peered into the darkness, startling backwards as he looked into a glowing, green, intelligent eye. "I've seen you here before," said the creature eating the world, and its voice was like thunder and darkness and the end to all things. "Tell me why you stand by me and cry." "I wish they could all see you like I see you," said the boy. "That way they wouldn't walk blindly into your jaws. That way they could save themselves." The monster in the hole thought for a moment, and when its green eye closed, 4 yellow ones opened up further down. "I could help you with that," it said. "Reach down your hand." And the boy did, half expecting to be dragged into the hole below. But instead, something cold and wet wrapped itself around his palm, and when he shakily withdrew his fingers, his hand was pulsing with a dim light. "Touch someone with that hand," said the creature, "and then they will be able to see me. And then those they touch will be able to see me." And so on. And the boy thanked the monster, and wondered at its nature to give up its advantage of invisibility so easily. The very next day, the boy grabbed the first person walking towards the hole, and they stopped in their tracks and gasped at the death trap they had so nearly wandered into. They went to grab at the next person, and the knowledge spread like a disease. Soon everyone knew of the danger. The town put up a fence around the hole and closed off the roadway. But that didn't save anyone when the creature opened up its mouth and the abyss began to grow. New holes opened around the town. Nowhere was safe to step. People walking through parks and heading to work saw the ground disappearing beneath their feet, and as they fell, they screamed in terror and pain as their lives were cut short. Entire residential districts were swallowed. The cracks opening across the world merged together and cut the land into lonely floating fragments. And the creature beneath the world ate them one by one. To the boy, it looked like he was the last one left. He was all alone. His house and flower garden the final bastion of hope amongst a sea of darkness and multicolored eyes. He sat on the edge of the garden and stared into the nearest pupil, determined not to look away until he was inevitably swallowed. But the monster left him alone. "Was it better?" the creature asked him one day, and the waver of its words seemed to hold genuine curiosity. "Was it better for them to see me coming?" "I don't know," said the boy, and he couldn't stop the tears from pouring down his face and salting the last of his flowers. "Tell me why you stand by me and cry?" asked the monster, a perfect echo of the first time they had spoken. To the boy, it felt like so long ago, even though only weeks had passed. "I don't want to be lonely anymore," said the boy. The creature that was now the ground thought for a moment. "I could help you with that," it said. "Reach down your hand." And the boy did. And then he squeezed the closest thing to the monster's hand as he willingly walked into its jaws. The end.
Nice.
Double crack.
It's
Very
good.
nice. Ow! Why are you killing me?
Sorry, I didn't know who hit me. I just assumed it was you.
No, there's been something running around here hitting you. Like,
It was pushing me earlier.
it was.
Yeah, and I
pushing
know
me
exactly
Party
who it
crasher.
is.
Is it Aster?
No,
Who's
it's
Aster
not.
go?
I got smacked by the same thing and started withering. I think the vampire's here.
All right, who's next?
I don't know who's gone yet.
Who's got a story?
You can go next.
A story?
Yeah.
Any?
Do you have a story? Is it
A scary story. ideally.
Specifically an unnerving
I mean, it
one.
is one. There were once 2 kingdoms. A smaller, that was new and prideful, and didn't like outside help. And a larger, that had built itself up over many generations. It had many allies, and tried to help those who bordered its land. One season, there was a drought, and the Greater Kingdom reached out its hands to the allies and collaborated and helped its people survive. The smaller kingdom used its timber to build walls, and when the food in their barred-off fields was no more, struck out into the larger kingdom. Their people had survived the famine. Surely they could spare. They would be fine. They'd apologize after. It would be a simple affair of, oops, our bad, we had to feed our people. The Grand Kingdom didn't like that. They said if it happened again, there would be war. The smaller kingdom ignored it, ignored opportunities for peace, and continued on. 2 seasons later, there was another drought. Worse than the first. And the smaller kingdom again struck out into the Grand Kingdom's territory, stealing their food and burning their villages. They needed it for their people. And so there was war. The smaller kingdom should have been stomped. The Grand Kingdom should have stomped them immediately. But it didn't. It kept trying to offer peace, to save lives. The smaller kingdom didn't like that. It didn't like the larger armies sitting on their borders. It didn't like the mighty warriors. And so they started scheming. They started taking young, talented children from villages, from farms, from royal academies, squandering them away to a secret project. And for months, there was silence. A ceasefire was even signed. And when the 2 kingdoms met at the end of the ceasefire on the border to barter peace, the smaller kingdom unleashed their secret project. A monster. A conglomeration of every perfect entity from every stolen child, raised over those months with some kind of wicked magic to turn it into a grown adult savior to them. It had the strength of 10 and 2 wide teeth that smiled and glinted in the sun. Our ivory warrior. Spikes of bone and gnashing jaws. The Grand Kingdom's armies fell and squandered. They could not stand against this unholy beast. The smaller kingdom said, "We will have no peace. We have our warrior. You will bow before us." And they marched towards the capital, parading their ivory warrior, until their ivory warrior was no more. Until I killed it.
Ew.
Ending in a flex. Nice, nice.
Oh, we're
I-
doing flex scary stories now?
Flexing stories.
That
God, mine feels so, like,
I didn't.
not as impactful as the rest of them.
Bird?
So did they like cut up their people, their kids, and like stitch them together?
They did.
That's horrific.
Abomination.
I mean, it's not the
It was
Ivory
war.
Warrior's fault. Hope you stuffed their rulers in like a fire or something, though.
I don't remember. Whose turn is next?
I think Koda was offering to go.
Yeah, I can go if we're telling flex and horror stories. So, there was this one guy, dressed in all black, walked into my office one day. And he told me, "I need you to kill this creature." I'm like, "Alright, well, what's this creature? What's its story? What's it about?" This creature lives deep in the darkest pits of the underground. It has no eyes. Its scream can be heard all the way on the surface. And it dwells in a place of pure corruption. I smile at him, I'm just like, "So an average Tuesday."
Jesus fucking Christ.
Wow.
You're like, yeah, every day I venture into hell. Look at my sword, I'm so
I go down
sexy.
to hell every single day. Look at me, I am Kota, I am a strong and powerful hunter.
Oh, I'm so cool.
I have a museum I
monster
made
hunter.
dedicated to myself.
Look at me, I'm friends with a demon and an angel. Ooh.
An angel? What?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Anyways, he looked at me and he said, "This creature is no jesting matter."
Did the monster hear the electric guitars playing as he went down to fight it?
Anyways. So I give him the arched eyebrow, and then he said, "Payment up front. Here is where you are going." I went to the middle of nowhere. It was Badlands, I think. It took me deep into a cave.
Oh, it took him
I
deep,
s-
you say?
Oh? How
As
deep?
I was-
How deep? 6 inches?
As I was descending, I started hearing voices. "Turn back. You are not meant to be here, Hunter." I ignored it and pressed deeper. I ended up in some level of a crypt. Ignoring the zombies and skeletons, I pressed deeper into about deep slate layers.
Pressed
Kept
into
hearing-
deep sleep?
Wow, questionable taste there, Coda.
Hey, yo.
Hey, come on, we don't judge.
I do.
Okay, yeah, I do.
Anyways, once again I heard the voices telling me to turn back, that I'm not meant to be there. And then I started to hear squelching under my feet. The underground began to look a lot like the stars in the sky, blinking. But it wasn't light like it is now. I could hardly see anything. As I've descended deeper, candles started to light. Following the candle path, I made it to a... What's the place called again?
Crypt?
Not a crypt. I already passed the crypt at that point. It was some kind of a city. There were weird tentacle things.
Necropolis?
It might have been a necropolis. There were these weird tentacle things.
Oh, I know where
that
this is going.
Stop talking about tentacles.
And every step I took made them make a weird noise. I ignored it, continued deeper into the necropolis, until I heard and felt the ground start to quake beneath me. I jumped aside as a massive creature emerged. It had weird horns, no eyes, and a death-defying roar. Death-defying roar? That's not correct. Anyways,
August
it
after
roared.
jumping into the void a few more
Deafening.
times.
Deafening roar, thank you, Bert. Before me was a creature known as a warden. Now these wardens, they are no laughing matter. I've seen them kill warriors in full prot for netherite.
Not true, I made one laugh.
Holy shit. What?
I made one laugh. They're definitely a laughing matter. But continue.
And it immediately started to swing at me. Luckily for me, I evaded. It did manage to hit me once, though. Almost killed me. That's how badly it hurt. I don't remember
Sorry.
much after that.
Why?
I was aiming for the zombie.
Why is
to be
there a
fair.
witch?
That was so
I don't
rude.
know, it's just
No,
bad.
my head.
Oh,
Ow! Me.
stop getting it! Oh,
Gawain,
good God.
Gawain, careful.
I'm so sorry.
Who's so mean?
I'm trying to aim for the mobs!
And see, I know we haven't been on the best of terms recently, but
Your Majesty.
I'm gonna go lie down in a
Red,
fucking
give me the head.
pit.
Give me the head. Give me Soleil's head.
Now I want it.
Oh! So no
Oh.
head?
So no head. Can we let Coda keep going?
Alright.
Apologies, Coda, there were mobs.
I was
It's
busy
fine.
being shot.
I was not aiming for you. You kept getting in the way.
So you say, so you say.
Why do
I
you
don't-
do
I don't remember many details of the fight. All I remember was the weird squelching blocks that looked like the stars, the deafening roar of the warden, and getting hit a couple times. But after I had left, victorious, the man in black approached me once again and thanked me for my service, and then faded into nothingness right before my eyes.
Nothingness.
That was
Nothingness.
definitely a ghost.
Hmm?
Definitely a ghost.
Mm.
Well-paying ghost.
Definitely a well-paying ghost.
So if it was called a warden, what was it guarding? Dat ass?
Real.
I remember this weird-looking portal structure in the necropolis, so maybe it was guarding that.
A gateway to another world.
No different than a portal to hell.
I mean, the ones down there are bigger.
That is true.
The ass is in hell?
No, the portals.
That's my story.
Well, who's next?
The deep dark's funny. We should go sometime.
I
think you
so,
volunteered
like,
yourself,
explain to me-
Aster.
Explain to me what's so funny about the Deep Dark and how you made one of these warden guys laugh.
Oh,
So
okay.
Oh yeah, that could be your
So,
story.
This is your, yeah, step up.
They're ticklish. They're ticklish.
Fair enough.
Oh,
How did you manage to get one in place long enough?
Great question.
You aren't going to answer that, are you?
Nope.
Okay.
what's the fun in that?
Okay, I think
There's sugar on the ground.
so. Like Cap and Aster haven't gone yet, and also the vampire. She's still hanging around.
Oh, are we going? Am I telling a story now?
You are.
Okay. What kind of? Are we gonna do a scary story, or are we gonna do a bragging story? Am I gonna do a moral dilemma, I think that makes you really wonder about the state of the world and decisions that you've made, but on reflection, very valuable as a lesson to learn.
Surprise me.
Why are you like this?
Gary was on the invitation,
This is
strictly
fun.
speaking.
That's true. I forgot the invitation because I didn't get one. Okay, so I will tell a story then, and I'm gonna tell something so scary you're gonna be quaking. You're gonna be you're so scared, so concerned.
I'd
Okay.
love to
Okay.
hear you try to
Excited.
scare me.
You know,
Don't make
there's
me
no
this
poison
tough
in this
guy.
one. You might be fine. So the story I'm gonna tell is once upon a time. It's the classic fairy tale start. I guess that's what happened when you did yours. Anyway, once upon a time there was a kingdom, and it wasn't what you normally think of as a kingdom. There wasn't a single king. It was an oligarchy. There were 2 kings, 2 queens, and really, as anti-monarchy as people can get sometimes, they really were beloved by everyone. Everyone was a fan of them. They weren't kind, but they were fair, and what they did was you couldn't ever say they did the wrong thing. They really were doing the best job that they could, and everyone agreed, and it was they did what they were supposed to. And one day one of the kings was sitting in conference with the others, and he felt a hunger, and that wasn't unusual. He was the biggest guy. He ate a lot, and he really went for it. But there was sort of that hunger rumbling inside of him, and saying, just take one more bite than usual. Take another slice. And so he kind of he reached over pretty subtly onto the other king's plate, and he took a forkful, and that was it. That was nothing more than that. Just a single extra taste of what the other king was enjoying. A single extra serving more than he deserved. And then nobody really noticed. And what's a fight between coworkers, friends, the family that they were, and so then they couple days went by, and he felt that hunger again. He took an extra forkful, and it wasn't noticed this time. The other king, the queens, they noticed what he was doing, but like what's an extra forkful a piece? They're the rulers of the country. They can afford to lose an extra bite. The other king can go down to the pantry and get an extra snack if he's a little extra hungry at night. And then the rumbling was a little bit stronger, and the king, he took more than just a bite. He just took an appetizer, the whole small plate, and it wasn't something. It wasn't something that's reasonable to start taking extra dishes. Bring in extra people, make more food. Eventually, every night started to be a feast, and we could afford it. It was a nice kingdom. They could kind of take care of it. But
We could afford it?
yeah, the citizens of the country, the constituents of the king. I'm empathizing with the people in the kingdom.
You're an empath.
Yeah, I'm very good at telling people's emotions. But
Are they
in any
annoyed
case,
at you?
What?
Are the emotions annoyed at you?
So much of the time, yes. But anyway, the people of the kingdom, they could afford the loss. They were prosperous, and their rulers had always done right by them. So they made the thieves bigger. They fed more, and the other king, the two queens, they always took their fair share at the same amount. But the last one got hungrier and hungrier, and eventually it wasn't, the feasts weren't enough. He needed more, and he ate and he ate and he ate, and food stopped meaning the same to him. That hunger became more than hot dogs and marshmallows and potatoes, and became something a bit stronger. And one day, August, I'm sure you'll appreciate that. He bit the other king.
Woo!
And he bit one of the queens, and obviously no one was a fan of that.
They weren't into it. They didn't have the talk beforehand.
They were not a fan of that. So they pulled them aside, national forum level of controversy, like, hey, don't eat your allies, don't. And
Seems like a rude thing to do.
He didn't. He didn't stop, and one day he ate the queen, like, fully, like,
Yes.
like dead level.
Well, there you
of and now they didn't have 4 monarchs.
And so they decided not to lock him up for this.
And
We'll remember
We'll
this.
remember this.
They were like, well, more food for
they,
him now. This isn't a problem.
now it was a kingdom of 3. A queen, a starving king, and a king who wasn't done yet. And pretty sure he's still hungry.
Is that it?
I mean, pretty sure he's still hungry.
All right, end
Oh,
of the story. Eat the rich. Thank you. Woo!
It's a moral I can get behind.
Do you have a scary story?
I mean, I have something that happened to me personally, but I don't have any stories otherwise.
Well,
What's
if it's
the deal with
scary.
you stealing my bit, huh?
You're what now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I
the
was
invisible
talking
bit.
about invisible first.
Oh, the bit. Got
Oh,
it.
really?
Oh yeah, I mean, I thought it would be funny if you guys got haunted. I don't know.
Rude.
Certainly tried.
Okay. When I was younger, there was a time where I was trying to sleep in my room, and I woke up in the middle of the night hearing bone chimes in my ear. And at first I thought it was just an auditory hallucination, so I tried covering my ears, but it got quieter.
No, they killed my goats.
Oh well,
I'm
rip.
sorry about your goat.
The
Sorry about your
audacity!
goat.
I like that goat.
I'm sorry.
Alright, you can go on. I'll just
No, it's
be
fine,
sad
don't worry about
my
it.
Goats.
Aw. Anyway, so it got quieter, which means that it was not a hallucination, which is great.
What was that?
Well, hello?
What was that?
What a pig! Oink!
So mean.
What did I do?
Everything.
Oh, it wasn't you. Oh,
No.
You know what? It was bird, but birds are cops, so I can't kill them.
could've if
Angel,
you weren't
one
a
of my
coward.
Yeah.
one of my spirits is confused as to what bone chimes are.
Chimes made of bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the name. Like, come on. Come on,
Yeah,
spirits,
wind
read up.
chimes but bone.
That's a normal thing to have.
They're just made out of bone. It's a hunter thing, more so.
What in the world does that sound like? They are?
Interesting hunters.
Like wood
Except
chimes,
you.
but wrong.
I don't have bone chimes.
No,
Why
yeah.
not?
Oh my fucking god!
You seem like
You
you'd
know, that's actually a good point. I think bone chimes would be cool.
I think I think they would fit your aesthetic.
I agree.
Signify when someone's entering your office.
God, that would be
Alright,
terrifying.
dickhead. Breaking the
Get
loose
outta
I'm
here.
standing on.
Anyway,
You don't
yeah.
like my
Keep
new
going,
role?
yeah.
Let Angel
Yeah.
continue her story.
So I heard that, and I, squeezed my eyes shut because I was like, that's fucking terrifying. I was like a little child. I didn't know any better. I got this image in my head of this older, like elderly woman, fuck, with like long gray hair, holding the bone chimes above my ear. And then I panicked and I leaped out of my bed. And then the second I closed the door behind me, the chimes got quieter again. And so I ran to my parents' room and I asked them to go look into my room, and they didn't find anything. So that was fun.
That was the whole story?
It never got resolved or anything. That was literally just it.
Huh?
Terrifying.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that can't have been fun.
I mean, mine's not really a story. It's more like an old parent's tale.
Close enough.
That works.
You've been telling stories. Mine is not a story.
It can be a
Mine was a
story if you
jump
believe
scare.
in yourself.
It is a creature that lives on the underside of the island. And there is only one of them, but it can be anywhere and everywhere. And it always knows. It will, whenever anyone gets too close to the edge or to the bottom, it will reach up with these spindly, dripping fingers that are dropping some kind of black substance down into the infinite void below, and it will reach around the edges of the islands, reaching up to grab you, and it will drag you down. And it will, doesn't matter how much you scream, how loudly you scream, how much you fight back against it, it will burn you alive as it drags you down into the abyss.
That was quite good. Aster?
I don't know the name of the creature. I think
Close
I
us
know
out.
the name of the creature.
What's the name of the creature?
August.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the discrimination against goop blood.
Come on now. August never drags.
Yeah, I don't drag
They only
anyone in. I'm very big on consent, guys.
No.
What do
We
you mean
always
that sounds
do
like
it,
a
but-
cave monster from your childhood? What kind of fucking childhood do you have?
Huh?
Hey, Sikari, what does that mean?
No, it wasn't August. We always called it Swirlipper.
Swirlipper? What does that mean?
Oh, I heard Swirler Man, like Slender Man, but okay, never mind. Sorry.
Hey, what does Swirlipper mean?
It doesn't really mean anything. I mean, the swir part kind of means void, and then the other thing, I think that word's kind of been lost to history.
There's so many stories of reaching hands and things, the world breaking away from below.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was the end. It was kind of, wasn't really broken. It was kind of just existing.
Ren, you don't have to, but since I know you're around here somewhere, do you want to tell a story?
Wait, hang on. I'm gonna do a dramatic
Friend.
voiceover. Ready? One time, I had a friend
That's crazy. You had a friend.
who one day
Rude.
wasn't around anymore, and I got sad.
Oh, Ren.
No.
But then they showed up and went boo, and I got scared.
That's very scary.
That is very scary. That's my story.
Aww.
That's an excellent story. Thank you.
Sorry.
I like the
I
story.
can relate to that one.
Yeah, Aster, good luck following that.
Yeah, I think that's
Oh
been
man,
everyone but
how am I
Aster.
ever going
Mhm.
to?
Yeah, I think that's the best story.
Skeleton, there's a child on my head. I can't deal with that.
Yeah, no.
Also, out of character, Ren, if you want me to read your text lines, I will.
Oh yeah, fucking
Oh, yeah?
Kriber's red impression is scarily good.
Kriber's red
it is.
impression is like spot on.
One time I had a friend who
What the fuck?
wasn't around anymore, and I got sad, but then he showed up and went boo, and I got scared. That's my story.
What the?
What the fuck?
Holy
Would not
heard
be
it
able to
before.
sort
Yeah, that's
difference.
just spot fucking on.
I've
It's
heard
so
it
good.
before, and it's just.
Okay, Aster?
Oh, right. Yes, of course.
Using my talents for evil.
Voice actors, ladies, gents, and all other configurations of beings.
Funk. Alright.
You gotta be higher than everyone else.
Yeah, I brought my cool little amethyst block and I'm gonna make use of it. Excuse me. So, once there was a great deer. It was tall, taller than any being had any right to be, stretching to the sky and above the trees with a height previously unknown to any who saw it. It prospered. For it was part of the forest, and the forest was part of it in turn. The two could not be separated. Okay.
Clown was trying to cut down the
Whoever
tree.
did that, please stop.
Well, tell the
So
clown to stop
mean.
cutting down the tree.
So Lay, stop cutting down the tree.
Okay.
For it was part of the forest, and the forest was part of it in turn. The two could not be separated, as so too do the sun and moon rely on each other, their ebb and flow. The immutable truth was that they were tied together, and tethered in a way that could never be broken. Now, as was the nature of this place, every few years or so, the deer would journey back to the forest in which it was born. And upon arriving there, the trees would be crushed underfoot to make way for new fauna. So would begin the new cycle of life and rebirth, and death among the animals would not prosper in this place. For those that inhabited the forest would see and hear the deer coming, and every time clear the area, in expectation of this. It was a natural cycle after all, one that had been seen and observed many a time. One day, a family of squirrels moved in. They were not from the forest, and thus did not understand its ways. nor the deer's cycle. They knew of it from the whisperings of other creatures and observation of the new trees that had sprouted. But these squirrels prided themselves on being smarter than the other animals. We can harness the power of this deer, they told themselves. Use it as a protector and laborer. What a waste to let this great power go unused, to let the deer remain passive in nature. Surely to innovate is our right as new inhabitants of the forest. So they set it upon themselves to build a trap. With the wood of the trees around them, they fashioned tight, winding ropes by which to ensnare the deer, and in time, tame it. Then they would become strongest among the animals, and no longer would they have to scavenge for nuts and berries to survive. The day of the deer's pilgrimage came, and as planned, the ropes were fastened around its body and pulled tight against its skin. The deer cried out in pain. By the very bones of the forest it took its root in. The struggle that ensued lasted many days and nights, but eventually, after a low keening cry that echoed all throughout the land, the deer succumbed. But in their eagerness to take that which was not theirs, the squirrels had woven their ropes too tightly against the deer. Its eyes, huge and pleading, rolled back in its head, and with a final heaving breath, the last trees sprouted from the ground. There would be no more after this. In the end, the squirrels were crushed, under that which they wished to command. The other animals returned to a forest, incapable of loosening its grip. It had known the pain of the deer as it fell, and would not forget it, for the deed had already been done. And the trees in that place grew unendingly afterwards, forevermore, as if the very forest mourned its counterpart, and would not let those that remained rest.
I like that story.
That was a
Very
good
nice.
story.
Good stories all around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What a shame to kill a miracle.
Isn't it?
Yes.